Okay, good morning. So we're up to Shintes Vov Seif Dalet. Says the Machaba. Mitzah shehi musureges pirush nereges b'chavolim. You've got a bed which is interlaced with ropes. Im yesh ben chevel lechevel shleish tefachim. So you've got 3 tefachim between. You've got big gaps of 3 tefachim between each rope. Also lifres alei sodin. You can't put a sheet over it mishum da'avidala because you've got these big gaps, and therefore you're putting a sheet over it. You're making a noihel. If it was less than 3 tefachim, there'd be no problem. And so too, if you're pulling away the sheet that is underneath it, then that's a problem. That's just the flip side. You're being soiser. You're taking away the tent. If there was something on it, which is a shir tefach, for example, a cushion or something, and you're just extending it, mutzah lifres b'shabbos al kol hamitzah, because you're being moisif on al-aray and you're not sort of creating it. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Cotton Chaftaled, mitzah shehi, or lefi ha'mavur le'el b'seif gimel, al kochuch ma'iri hocha b'sheyesh lo mechitzas hamagias la'aretz. We're talking about over here, you've got mechitzas on the side of this bed frame, which go down to the ground. Avol mitzah shelonu, mutzah b'chol gavni, there's no problem, like we said previously, i.e., you've got these little legs of the bed or something, that's not considered proper mechitzas. Shleisha tefachim, the ilav hachiyom min loved. Yeah, because that's what you said, Yossi. If it's less than 3 tefachim, then it's loved, and as if it's closed. It's as if there's just a board. It's like just putting a sheet over a board. That's not a problem. Even if in one place it's less than 3 tefachim and therefore it's closed up, it's okay because you're being moisif on the oihel. Like we've explained previously. Okay, that's talit. Sif hey. Kisei ha'asu pirakim. You've got a chair which is made of different sort of parts. Or cheshireitzim leishev olav, and you want to sit on the chair. Peischin oisa, you open it up. V'ar niftach. And the leather sort of stretches. It's like a folding chair. Imagine like a deck chair, something which you open up and then it just becomes a proper chair. And when you remove it, you close it, and then the leather sort of folds together. So that type of folding chair you can open no problem on Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sifkat Chof Zayin, Mutzah Lefosrei, Ta'ovid V'koyim B'Eid Yom, because that's how it looks. It's a chair. It's all made. It's just sometimes you open it, sometimes you close it. It's just that you stretch it open to sit on it. And for that reason, you're allowed to set up a chuppah and to remove it. If you got a daf, a board that you put Seforim on top of them, that would be allowed. However, bedaf belav hachishari, because there you're just putting a board out and putting Seforim on top of it for people to take chumashim, sidurim, or whatever. And it's just a flat horizontal board. There's no things coming down, and therefore there's no concern. So, imagine you're just, sometimes they do it for the kiddush here. You put a flat board and you put there, they do the whiskey or whatever they put. So you're just putting a board on top, there's no mechitas coming down, and therefore you're just putting it to rest chumashim Seforim on, that would not be a problem. Okay, and lechatchila, Siv Cotton Chofches, Mitzvah Shel Barzel Shelonu Shasuin Mukupalin Usmuchin Lekaisel. You've got metal bed frames which are next to the wall, and you just sort of release them, and then they become they become horizontal. In Mutter Lepashim Shabbos, Ayin Bebe Halacha B'Sherachnu B'Zeh. Okay, let's just go weiter. Sif Vov. Now this is we mentioned this yesterday. Kashimesadrim Choviyas Al Gabe Zu, Achas Al Gabe Shnayim. Imagine you've got these big barrels. So you want to sort of set them up that you've got one barrel over here, one barrel next to it, and then a barrel on top. So you're going to have a problem with a noihel because you've got mechitzas, and the bottom of the top barrel is the oihel, is the gag. So says the Machaba, kashemesadrim, when you're organizing choviyos, barrels, zu al gabe zu, on top of each other, achas al gabe shtayim, one barrel on top of two. So you're going to have a problem if you've got two barrels there and you've just put the top barrel on, you've made them an ohel. Because you've got sides and you've got the gag. So what do you do? Exactly what we said yesterday. You hold the top one. No, you got a bunch of barrels on the side and you want to stack them away on the side. So you take one barrel, you put another barrel, and then you want to take the third barrel and put it on top between the two barrels. By doing so, you're making an ohel because you've got mechitas and you've now just put the gag there. So what do you do? Oiches, where is it? Oiches beyado helyoina. You take the top one and you hover it, and then you bring the two lower ones into place. Exactly what we saw yesterday. V'yasad ha'tachtonis tachteha. So you want to put, so you got barrels on the side. You want to, you got in your storeroom. You want to sort it out. So in your living room, you got a couple of barrels there. So just don't put one barrel and another barrel next to it, and then take a third barrel and put it on top because you're making an ohel. But do it exactly what we said yesterday. You reverse the order. You take the top barrel, hover it, and then you bring the two barrels underneath it. What's the chiddush? I suppose even with a barrel, you've got a shine of ohel. I suppose. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Sorry? Yeah, there's a gap. Otherwise, there's no problem.
What's the minimum gap for ohel?
So we'll see soon. Yeah, a tefach, l'chera tefach. Yeah, l'chera tefach. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Mishum da'ovid ka'ein ohel. The problem is if you've got two lower barrels, then you put a third one on top. You've made an ohel. Or ka'ein ohel. Shekashemesade achkach elyonim memala. She'u kagag ala mechitzas, like a gag on mechitzas. Va'after bo'el tzorech la'avir shetachto bein mechitzas. Normally what the rule is, you need the airspace underneath to have some function. You do need the airspace underneath the barrels. Why? It will get moldy if there's no air circulating. So therefore, you want a bit of a gap to make, and therefore you do need the avir b'nehem underneath it. And therefore you've created therefore you've got to reverse the order. Now the next case is something which maybe you've come across before. It's a very interesting situation. You know, people learning on Shabbos, and you're being ma'ayin, and you've got a bunch of pile of Seforim. So are you allowed to use Seforim as a Shtender? I.e., to put your Gemara on top of a lot of Rishonim and Achronim, let's say, and you've got, so here we're dealing with a shaila of ohel. Because if you've got a pile of Seforim here, a pile of Seforim here, and you put your Gemara on top, you've got no ohel, if you think about it. Right? So there's two issues here. The Machaber is talking about, this is Siman Shin Tesvav, so we're talking about ohel. But the Mishnah Berurah is going to mention also, is it a bizoyim for the Seforim? Can I use a sefer as a Shtender, essentially? Yeah? So, let's take a look. Says the Machaber, Mutzer lahaniach sefer echad mikan, ve'echad mikan, ve'echad al garbehen. I'm allowed to. You're allowed to take one sefer on the left side, one on the right side, and put another sefer on top. Again, the Machaber is talking in terms of ohel, because I don't need the airspace underneath. So in terms of ohel, there's no problem, because I'm not creating an ohel. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Lamed. What? Well, with what? With the Chovis? Yeah. No, with the Chovis I do need the airspace. That was his point. In the Mishnah Berurah says in Chovtes, what about the airspace? I need the airspace of the barrels, because if there's no air, the wine will go bad. Yeah, so I do need the airspace, but here I don't need the airspace. So says the Mishnah Berurah, Ad Kan, that's all doing with Hilchos Ohel. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Lamed, it's just that I need the Seforim, and therefore they're all on my table, and I'm opening them up, and I'm being ma'ayin, and therefore I'm learning from all the Seforim. Or the bottom sefer was already there. If I'm only putting a sefer there to prop up the upper sefer, that's a bizoyin for the Seforim, and that's not allowed even on weekday. The Magen Avraham says actually it's okay. It's not a bizoyin for the Seforim. And if you look at footnote 73, he says in Kufnan Daled, way back in the Mishnah Berurah, we said that we are makel. So there are different views about this. The minhag ha'olam seems to be okay, and you do see people pile up Seforim one on top of the other, even if you're not using the bottom ones.
I think we learned that when it comes to putting a siddur on tefillin.
Yeah, on tefillin.
Tefillin.
Yeah, tefillin is different. Yeah, tefillin is more common. Yeah. The boxes there's debate about.
One should not
right, but we're talking about putting one sefer on top of another sefer. Yeah. Okay, Adkan. Sorry, no, let's just finish off.
The empty boxes.
So this is no problem. To use a Shtender, that's no problem. The Shai is using a Sefer as a Shtender. Oh, as an oil? Where's the oil? So we'll come to that in the next sieve, where you've got to have a gag of a tefach. I haven't got a gag here. I've got no side, yeah. Let's just finish off the Mishnah Berurah, Lamed Aleph. Hoil ve'ein sarich. Now, mizeh hatam, nami shari lifros mapa ala shulchan. So he says you don't need the airspace underneath. So in the case of the barrels, yeah, we said you've got one barrel on one side, one barrel on the other side. You've got space in between because I need the air to circulate because of the wine or whatever's in the barrel. And putting on the barrel on top is a problem. But the Seforim, if I've got one pile here, another safe on top, I don't need the airspace underneath. Therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, Lamed Aleph, for the same reason, I therefore can spread a tablecloth on a table, and the tablecloth is draping down on the sides. Even if they drape all the way down to the ground or close, that's not a problem of oil. Why not? Again, I don't need the airspace underneath the shulchan. And we said yesterday, just putting your legs underneath it, that's just so that you can sit there, but you're not really properly using it in a functional way. And therefore there's no chalal. We always need a chalal tefach. You need a gag with an airspace underneath it, and you haven't got that on the table. You're just literally putting a cloth over the table. Okay, let's just do one more sif. Kol oil meshubah. This is a bit what you were talking about. Says the Mechaber in Sifches, Kol oil meshupah. If you've got a slanted oil, so imagine like a wigwam, a sort of a tent type of thing. She'ein begagay tefach. So if it goes like that, and you haven't got a tefach at the top across, so not only is there no tefach at the top, but even in the slant, within 3 tefachim of the top of the oil, you haven't got a tefach, right? Then, how is the oil arai? And this is an oil arai, and if you make it lechatchila Shabbos, it's not an issa deraisa, it's not a proper oil, you're potter. We'll see. This is there are those who say even lechatchila it's okay. Yeah, we'll see in Mishnah Berurah. Says Mishnah Berurah Lamed Beis, Kol oil hainu afidu also lekeva sheizkaim b'kamayomim. Even if you make this wigwam type of oil for many days, mikol makom kiven she'ein begaga tefach lo ychoshiv rak oil arai, and therefore it's only an oil arai. Mushupa v'hu adin im also hagag b'shoveh. If you make, there is a horizontal on the gag. Gam kein ein chayiv machmos elim kein reichav tefach. It's only a problem if the gag is a tefach. Ubelav hochid lo ychoshiv oil. V'hod nokat mushupa. We said it comes to sort of on an angle. Mishum seifa lashmi inan. The dafki im lohe b'pochas mishleish somach gag reichav tefach. I.e., that the point is that if in the top, not only if the top doesn't come to a tefach, but if it slants down so sort of sharply, the incline is so steep that within the top 3 tefachim you haven't even got a tefach. Dahainu, says the Mishnah Berurah. I've just lost the place. Dahainu she'enamar misracheves tefach at la'achar sheyard shleish tefachim. It doesn't get a tefach wide, even though it goes down 3 tefachim. Ha'im misracheves tefach b'teich shleish tefachim v'shleish shleish hari ki'ilu hayo gag tefach. Because if there is a gag across the top, within 3 tefachim of the top, then that's as if there's a gag tefach. She'ein begag tefach, aval im yesh begag tefach, choshiv oil keva v'chayiv. Because if there is a gag tefach, then it's considered oil keva and you're chayiv. She'kein malsina b'alei tumas tefach, because you find that in hilchos tumah with oil tumah, you need to have a tefach. V'davka she'osu lekeva, aval la'arai kagoin she'peres machaseres al gam b'dalad amudim. If you just stretch a canopy over 4 poles, we'll come to the whole thing about the Chosim Bereshis and all that in a later time. Potter, Hainu Mechatos, also midrabanan, like you said, Yossi. Gezeira otu el keva. V'ayim b'magen Avram shekolze oladas harif Rambam. This is all the shit of the Rif and the Rambam. Avol ladas Rashi v'Arosh kivin she'ein begaga tefach lo ychoshiv el klal. They're allowed you to lechatchila. Shulchan Aruch says kadas harif Rambam. The Shulchan Aruch kadarka b'kodesh, he would always say. He says this in an introduction. He's being soisim. His Shulchan Aruch, according to the majority of the 3 great Rishonim. Who are they? The Rambam, the Rif, and the Rosh. So here you got the Rambam and the Rif. saying that it's potter avalosa, and you got the Rosh and Rashi who says that it's mutar lechatchila. The Rif and the Ram says potter avalosa, and you got the Rif and you got Rashi and Rashi and the Rosh who says it's mutar lechatchila. So the Mechaber is pasting like the Rif and the Rambam who says it's potter avalosa, and he's not like Rashi and the Rosh who say that it's mutar lechatchila. V'cheinu gam kein das Rabbeinu Chananel. Well, the Pri Megadim is the gam Rashi v'Rosh moed das Rambam. The Pri Megadim actually says that Rashi and the Rosh moed is the Rambam kimin she'also lekevesh yiskayim zman kamiyomim. Since it would last a period of time, it would be considered a part avalosa. It would be considered more of a problem. Okay, Mr. will carry on Sif test tomorrow.